But yo, this thing's pretty quick. Oop, don't run over a turtle. What's up guys, welcome back to Pat Outdoors. Today we're going to be hopping back on the Razer MX650 giveaway project. On the previous video, we installed the stock 48 volt lithium battery pack from my Studio, installed a T8F chain and sprocket combo, relocated the Kelly KVD controller from on top of the battery to the top of the frame. We retrofitted a orange set of CRF50 plastics on there to kind of give it a KTM XCW look. And I started installing some Shimano hydraulic brakes, but kind of had to come to a stopping point because I was missing the correct brackets to get it to fit right against the rotors. We finally got more parts in, so let's wrap this project up. In order to enter this giveaway, all you have to do is like this video, throw a comment down below, and be subscribed to this channel. There's zero purchase necessary. I don't even have a website that sells stuff. I'll be adding all the usernames from all the people that commented on the part 1 and part 2 video into a random generator just to make it super fair for everybody and make an announcement on my video on July 6th, Sunday morning, this coming weekend. All that I ask is that you be in the continental United States because I simply can't afford to ship a bike like this abroad at the moment. And I don't want anybody to have to pay for shipping. I simply just want to give this bike back to the community. Also, please be aware of any impersonators or scammers out in the comment section. A lot of people have been messaging me on Instagram saying that, hey, you told me I won or whatever. And then they send me a screenshot of some made up username from an account that was just recently created. So if you get any responses on your comments telling you that you won, just please be careful and confirm that the username is exactly like mine. I'm not gonna tell you to message me on WhatsApp or Telegram or whatever these scammers do. I mostly communicate on Instagram. Now let's continue working on this bike and get this fork installed. Picking up where we left off, this is what the bike currently looks like. Just have the wheels blacked out. Got the ENC rotors on there. These are 160 millimeter front and rear. CRF50 plastics looking good against this seat that I reupholstered. Vever motor, T8F chain and sprocket set, though this 11 tooth front sprocket combined with, I think this is like a 54, I believe is a little too tall, so we're gonna be swapping the front sprocket out. I'm gonna step it down to either a 9 or a 10 tooth, just to get the gear ratio a little bit more appropriate. I just want this thing to go between 35 and 40 miles per hour is the target for this bike. And we're gonna be getting rid of this stock fork and throw the hydraulic fork tubes from my Studio. We actually just got this package from Curb Hopper Customs that's supposed to make it super easy to install a set of 45, 48 fork tubes onto any Razer MX650, MX500, or SX500. All right, so here's everything that we got from Curb Hopper Custom. This is the upper triple tree clamp, lower 15 millimeter stem bolt, 12 millimeter axle bolt, bunch of decals, handlebar clamps, some bearings for the 15 millimeter stem bolt, hardware for the handlebar clamps, and some Velcro straps. I really like the finish on these triple tree clamps, and this is some really heavy duty stuff. This is definitely not some cheap clamps that you get from AliExpress, and obviously these are just the stock fork tubes from my Studio. Probably have like 20 miles on them. Wow, I just realized I made a huge mistake. For some reason, I was thinking that the stock Studio fork tubes were 45-48. These are actually 39-42. I got this confused. 45-48 is what comes stock on like an ETM RTR. So I'm actually looking to upgrade the fork on my SX500 to something heavier duty since I've added a lot more weight to it. I've got a 12-inch Supermoto wheel set, 44 amp hour lithium battery pack. This bike definitely needs a little bit more fork than the ENC ETM V2 fork I got on there right now. So just because I made this mistake, I'm gonna put this $400 something fork kit on this giveaway bike just to spice things up even more. I think it'll be a lot more balanced that way, and I'm gonna save the Curb Hopper Customs 45-48 triple tree clamp set for an even heavier duty fork upgrade on my personal SX500. Damn, I was super excited to use this kit, but I guess I'll save this for my personal project. And I'm gonna order some 45-48 fork tubes straight from Curb Hopper Customs just to make sure everything matches. Shout out to Brady for sending these over. Make sure you check out their website if you're looking for any razor upgrades. They've got a pretty large selection. I'll have a link to their website in the description below. Now let's tear off the ETM fork from my SX and put it on this MX. Man, I feel like I just finished putting this bike back together and now we're taking it back apart again. But it's all gonna be for the better. At least whoever wins this bike is gonna have even more of an upgrade. So I'm gonna take the front wheel off, fender, front plate, handlebar, keep things simple, transfer the fork assembly over to this one. And I wanna do something about the handlebar because this is gonna look pretty goofy on the ENC fork. I definitely don't want to stick the stock handlebar on this just because it looks so good. I'm not gonna make it look goofy with the tiny bar like that. So I'm gonna take apart another one of my bikes and take parts from it. So I'm gonna take the stock Tudio handlebar and Pro Taper bar pad from my Soleil, since I'm gonna be upgrading the ones on this bike anyway, and then we're gonna throw it on there. I think it's gonna look a lot better with a gloss black and wider handlebar, especially if this bike is going to an adult rider. Definitely cut that out. I'm gonna leave the front plate loose just until we get the brakes installed, brake lines routed, so we can clean up this area all at the same time. Now I'm gonna be swapping out this 11 tooth T8F front sprocket with a 9 tooth, just to make the gear ratio a little bit more appropriate for the speed that we're looking for. Okay, round two of installing the Shimano mountain bike brakes on the MX650. These should be similarly spec'd to the Zoom brakes that people typically use on these Razor projects. The front brake line is like 800 millimeter and the rear is 1400, but it's configured like a mountain bike. Left is the front, right is the rear. I'm gonna switch that around so it's like a traditional E-moto. And this time I found some brake calipers that should work for these 160 millimeter rotors. I'm gonna be using the 180 millimeter one for the front and 160 for the rear. That should work, fingers crossed. Here's a closer look at how I have the rear brake configured. So it's just a 160 front, 140 rear bracket. I ended up putting one tiny little washer over here just to make sure it has enough clearance for the top of the rotor. But the alignment worked out perfectly. No drag. Here's a closer look at how I have the front brake configured. I ended up having to use a Mototech brake adapter on top of the 160 mil caliper bracket. And then there's a 1/4 inch spacer, steel spacer in between. But besides that, I mean, everything lined up pretty good. But now I've been looking at the handlebar area and it actually does look a little bit wide. I think I'm gonna chop off like an inch on both sides just so it's a little bit more proportional to this bike. This thing actually turned out to be a pretty good looking bike. I'm also glad that I shortened the handlebar by an inch on both sides. It's a lot more proportional to the overall size of the bike. And I was worried about it having a rake since we put a Electro & Co. ETM V2 fork kit on it. I thought it was gonna lean too much, but the D&M shock that I put in there actually balances out with it pretty well. Before we take this bike out for its first ride, if you enjoyed today's video so far, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you like this kind of content, want to keep up with some of my projects and some of my builds, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn your bell notification on. If you're interested in any parts that I used for this project, I'll have the full build list in the description below. All right, 54.5 bolts. All right, that was mode 2. Let's just go straight to mode 3. See how this bike performs in the normal mode that I would usually ride it. Does seem like it's got a decent amount of torque though. Let's see what it tops off at with this current gearing. 9-tooth front sprocket. Brakes work pretty good. Super quiet, no squeaking. All right,
34 miles per hour, and that's with the small tooth. So I have no doubt that if I switch it back to an 11 tooth, it'll lose a little bit of torque, but it'll go over 40 miles per hour. But I kind of just want to see how it feels riding in this higher torque configuration, since it definitely has no trouble popping the front end up. It's almost a little bit too aggressive on the low end, especially for a little kid. But yeah, this thing zips. Suspension rides pretty well. The D&M shock is pretty well balanced with the ETM fork. Yeah, this thing is pretty agile. It's fun to throw a smaller bike like this around. I haven't been riding these smaller bikes in a while. I've been riding like my ETM RTR, my Tudio, and my slightly larger bikes. But it's fun to be back on the small Razors, which is actually my first electric bike on this channel. This is the type of bike that got me hooked on dirt bikes in general, so I have like a different level of appreciation for these Razors, and I'm sure that some of you guys do as well. I've never actually ridden out here in this neighborhood. This is my first time riding in my new area. Bailey and I just moved a week ago, and I have not had a chance to ride around whatsoever and check out the local trails. Yeah, I gotta be careful with the front end lifting if I'm throttling too hard. But yo, this thing's pretty quick. Oop, don't run over a turtle. Let me know what else you guys would like to see on this bike before I give it away to one of you guys. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what this thing would actually top off at with the 11 tooth front sprocket in place. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you like this kind of content, want to keep up with some of my projects, some of my rides, consider subscribing to this channel. But this is going to be it for today. Thank you for watching.